to this day, there is a lot of controversy over the Commerce Clause in the Constitution as well as the Second Amendment because both use the word regulate. And this has been interpreted to mean that Congress has authority to make whatever kinds of laws it wants on the subject. But I'm going to show you in the tradition of the Founding Fathers, as they used the term regulate, it actually means something fairly specific and limited that actually precludes arbitrariness in the creation of laws to administer something or to alter the way in which we exercise the power. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the three instances here in the Constitution where the word regulate is used. One is in the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section 8, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. Secondly, to coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. And the third instance is in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So in all these cases, what the word regulate has in common is it doesn't mean that Congress can just make whatever laws they want. And the reason we can know that is because of what the word regulate originally meant. And this is something we can gather from the Federalist Papers as well as just looking up the origin of the word. I'm going to look up the origin of the word first because that sets the stage here for this. Regulate comes from a Latin word regula, which means rule, as in like a ruler, a straight line. So the measuring instrument, right? So something that has measured precise intervals and enables you to draw straight lines. So it's a drafting tool, it's a measurement device, and that conveys that there is in fact a moral and philosophical and even, if you will, a mathematical type of a constraint on anything that can properly be said to be a regulation. That is to say, a regulation is something that makes regular, not something that makes things irregular. It standardizes rather than injects arbitrariness, right? And so maybe think of the issue of gerrymandering, for example. Like if you're having to draw really contorted squiggly lines, then you're probably not being fair and even-handed. If you're parceling things out in equal-sized rectangles, then that could be a much better indication that you are behaving in a fair and even-handed manner. More evidence for this comes from the Federalist Papers. Federalist number 42 and 22 both have to do with the power of tariffs and commerce, the regulation of commerce. And the intent that was set forth in these by James Madison and Alexander Hamilton was to level the playing field and avoid interfering and unneighborly interactions between the states, right? And so it was not to create new restrictions on freedom of trade and free markets and so on within the states. It was always to, consistent with this one third instance in the Constitution, to coin money and regulate the value thereof and to fix the standard of weights and measures, right? That suggests a primary impetus for what it means to regulate. So let me just give an example here. Let's say you come to my store and you want to buy 3 pounds of candy, and I say, here you go, 3 pounds of candy. And and you say, that's not 3 pounds, that's like 2.5 pounds. I say, well, that's what my scale says, right? So to fix weights and measures and make standards and to regulate would preclude that, so that you actually have a common language of commerce, so that the playing field is actually level and your transactions are fair because you're using the same units. And so anytime there's non-uniformity or people are allowed to use different units or whatever and not exchange value for value, that would be the opposite of regulation. So just in summary, there is a moral connotation to this, that you can't really be regulating something if you are injecting arbitrariness into it, right? So favoritism is never an instance of regulation. If you're redistributing wealth or anything like that, that would not be an instance of regulation.